Greetings and welcome to the second part of our Artist of the Week, number 1. So today what we're going to be doing is taking a little bit of our information that we learned from Natalie Blake and put it into practice. So in the video I mentioned that you we're looking at a technique called Sgraffito. So today what we're going to be doing is making a tile and just practicing that Sgraffito technique. So right here I have a Sgraffito tile that I have made before in the past, and what you can see here is that I have put a white underglaze on the red clay, and then I have scratched through that white underglaze to get back down to that red clay. So you can see the leaves here, those I carved around those leaves to get that Sgraffito technique. All right, so I'm stoked to get started. Here is what I have done. So far, I got a piece of clay, I rolled it out into a nice flat slab, and then I used our handy dandy tile cutter to cut out a slab that's nice and a perfect tile shaped. And then after it got a little drier, about to leather hard stage, I put on a couple layers of white underglaze, let that set up a little bit, and now it's not wet to the touch, but the clay is still a little bit wet. It's still at that leather hard stage, which should make it so I can easily carve through this to do the Sgraffito technique. So I want to show you a few tools that I like to use for the Sgraffito technique. So these little guys right here, these are called ribbon tools, and we have those in the classroom in the little pink container on the top shelf. They come in different shapes. And then I also have a needle tool. I like the needle tool for getting started with things, but I don't like it for finishing things. It's too fine a line. So I also like this little guy too that has a little bit of a wider end on it to get a little bit better carving. So I'm going to go ahead and start with my needle tool and just carving out my design. And then, like I said, I probably will go back over it with one of the needle tools, one of the ribbon tools or this tool. I'm not sure what it's called. It's up to you what kind of pattern or design you want to do. I'm just going to start by sketching out a few of those leaves that I did on my test piece for you. And so I'm just getting an idea of like where I want these leaves to go. And I'm just roughly sketching it out. But you can see like it's really easy to carve through the underglaze. And especially because my clay is still in that leather hard stage. And so I am just essentially getting an idea of where I'm going to have my leaves here. And then maybe I'll have like a little stem that comes down. And then maybe I can think about how I want the background to look too, because one thing that you can really do with Sgraffito is make a really cool textured background. So I've got a pretty good idea, a sketch there. And then the next thing I'm going to do is take one of these little angled ribbon tools, and I'm going to widen out my lines. So I'm just going to bring this in and widen it out. And, you know, if you end up, needing to go back over it, that's fine. It doesn't have to be perfect, but tell you what, I find Sgraffito to be a very satisfying technique. Something so cool about that just stripping away as I carve through it. And as you go to, it might spur some different ideas, like adding in the little veins for the leaves. And then I always really like to play a lot with positive and negative space with my Sgraffito. and getting that idea of what I want to be white and what I want to be that clay color. You know, if you mess up on this, no big deal. I always think about Bob Ross and him talking about happy accidents. I'm just going to blow off some of those extra pieces. And a tool that you can use too is just a dry paintbrush to get rid of some of those flakes as well. And so after I finish these leaves, I'll show you what I mean by using some negative space, or just taking out some of the background. So I do want to leave these in here, and in fact maybe I'll add a few more leaves on the side here, but one thing I would like to do is start taking some of the background out, so I can start to think about like just pulling a little bit of this out in the background and leaving my leaves. And I don't have to pull it all out. I can leave a little bit of that white in between, and that creates just such a cool texture. It kind of reminds me of printmaking when you're doing wood carvings. So it's up to you. You can pull it all out. And that's what I did on my sample tile. But you can definitely leave a little bit of that white in there. In addition, you can always go back and add some more in too. And really, you can do this even when the clay is dry. The thing I've noticed is that my clay starts to flake a little bit more than peel. And so it can make for like some rough edges for my leaves, or whatever I'm doing Sgraffito for. So I like to work when the clay is leather hard. All right, well that's the Sgraffito technique. I hope that you enjoy it as much as I do. You can use any color of underglaze that you want. It doesn't have to just be white. So you can experiment with some different colors and trying some different ideas. Get to experiment a little bit with this technique that Natalie Blake uses for her tiles.